Carly discovers Cassius abducted Josslyn, reels over Nathan's twin shocker. Let us start with the mother. Because at the center of this first story, underneath all the spy intrigue and the double identities and the island estate drama, is a mother who has been terrified for her daughter and is about to find out that the threat came from a direction she never would have imagined. She has been scheming, planning, reaching out to allies, ready to do whatever it takes to get her daughter out of that estate and back home safely. She recruited a loyal friend. They have been coordinating their approach, and the spoilers suggest they're going to make their move during this stretch of the story. But what nobody anticipated, what even she could not have seen coming, is that the information she is about to stumble onto is going to change the entire landscape of what she thought she was dealing with. She is going to overhear something. A conversation, a revelation, something said in a space where she was not meant to be listening. And what she hears is going to leave her absolutely frozen. Because the person responsible for putting her daughter in captivity in the first place is not who she assumed. The order to take her daughter, the plan to hold her as leverage, the execution of that whole scheme, it traces back to someone who has been walking around Port Charles presenting himself as a trusted, beloved presence in the lives of people she knows and cares about. The man everyone believes is a gentle, trustworthy soul who loves a small child as his own is not who he says he is. He is an imposter. He is a twin, a brother nobody knew existed, who stepped into a life that was not his, took on an identity that belonged to someone else, and has been living that lie so convincingly that even people who loved the real man have been completely fooled. And he was the one who took her daughter. Let that land for a moment, honey. The man who has been sitting in rooms with people she knows, making himself comfortable, building trust and relationships and emotional bonds. He is the one who put her child in that situation. That is not just a revelation. That is a personal betrayal of a magnitude that goes well beyond spy plots and global conspiracies. That is something that lands in the gut and does not leave. Her friend is going to be just as stunned. The two of them are going to have to absorb this together, in the middle of what was already a dangerous and high-stakes situation, and decide what they do with it. Because now they are not just trying to rescue someone from a captivity situation. They are looking at a man they thought they understood, and realizing they have never understood him at all. The pieces of this revelation have been assembling for a while. A woman in a facility far away has been trying to sound the alarm about exactly this, that the person presenting himself as a familiar, trustworthy face is a fraud. She told someone she trusted. She explained the twin theory, described what she believes happened, asked her friend to at least consider the possibility. And while she was received with a kind of careful, gentle skepticism you give someone whose credibility has been called into question, the seed was planted. Now, with this new information making its way through the right channels, that seed is about to bloom in a very dramatic way. And once she fully processes what she has learned, once the shock settles into something harder and more focused, the spoilers suggest she is going to go after the man responsible with everything she has. A mother who has found out who put her daughter in danger does not simply file a report and wait. She moves. She acts. And a confrontation between these two is brewing in a way that has the potential to be one of the most explosive scenes this show produces this summer. Her daughter has been through an ordeal, but her mother is coming. And the person responsible is about to find out exactly what that means. Peter August's shocking comeback. Wild return spells trouble for Anna? Now let us spend some time with the most psychologically complex story unfolding this summer, because what is happening inside one woman's mind as she fights her way back to health and freedom is not a simple recovery story. It is layered and dark and deeply human in a way that this show does not always take the time to explore. She is doing everything right on the outside. She is telling her doctors what they need to hear. She is performing wellness convincingly enough that her release is becoming a real possibility. She is patient, strategic, controlled. All the things she has always been when she needs to work a room and get a result. Anyone watching her interact with the medical staff would see a woman making genuine progress. But the inside is a different story. What was done to her during her captivity was not physical. It was psychological, and psychological wounds do not close the same way that cuts and bruises do. Someone spent a long time very carefully dismantling her grip on reality, making her doubt her perceptions, making her fear things that were not real, making her believe that a dead man was still alive and still a threat. That kind of sustained, deliberate psychological manipulation leaves marks that do not disappear just because the physical situation has changed. And the question that the show is raising, the one that the head writers themselves hinted at in describing what is coming for her this summer, is whether those marks include something she has not told anyone about. Whether there is a presence in her mind that she has not disclosed to her doctors, has not shared with a friend she finally got on the phone, has not mentioned to anyone. A face that keeps appearing. A voice she keeps hearing. Guidance that feels familiar and real even though it cannot possibly be. Peter is dead. That is not in question. But death in this show has never been a guarantee of silence, especially when someone's mind is as unsettled as hers has become. And Peter, complicated, damaged, capable of both love and enormous harm, is exactly the kind of presence that could lodge itself in the cracks that the gaslighting created and never quite let go. Think about who Peter was to her.
He was family.
He was someone she felt responsible for, someone she tried to love even as he made that love impossible, someone whose story was so tangled up with her own history and her own guilt that she was never able to simply release him. That kind of emotional tangle does not just dissolve. And in a mind that has been stressed and manipulated and pushed to its limits, it can find new life in ways that feel completely real. If he is appearing to her, in visions, in moments of quiet, in the in-between spaces where the mind fills in with what it cannot let go of, then the guidance he might offer is not going to be good guidance. Not because he was always entirely evil, but because the version of him that her injured mind might conjure up is going to be shaped by everything that happened. By the betrayal, by the fear, by the paranoia that her imprisonment created. A Peter shaped by all of that is not going to tell her to trust the people who love her. He is going to tell her to trust only herself. He is going to reinforce the very isolation that her recovery needs to break through. And this is what makes the summer preview warnings so chilling. Happy reunions colored by counsel from an unreliable source. The people who love her, who have been waiting and praying for her return, who are going to be so relieved to see her, they're going to reach for her, and she is going to reach back. But somewhere in between, filtering everything, shading every interaction, is a voice that is steering her in directions she cannot fully see.
She is not going to know this is happening.
That is the most heartbreaking part. She is going to believe she is thinking clearly, trusting her own judgment, making rational decisions about who to trust and how to read the people around her. And all the while, the thing influencing those decisions is something she has no ability to question or push back against. Her recovery is going to be real. Her homecoming is going to happen. But it is going to be more complicated than anyone around her is prepared for. And the road back to fully being herself, all the way back, without the shadow, is going to be longer than a successful escape from a French facility. She is one of the greatest characters this show has ever created. And watching her fight this particular battle, not against a villain she can see and confront, but against something inside her own mind, is going to be some of the most compelling television General Hospital has produced in years. 5 revenge plots end in disaster. These characters pay the price. And now let us close with something that is both dramatically satisfying and genuinely sobering, because Port Charles right now is full of people who decided that the best response to being wronged was to strike back. And the universe, as it tends to do, is about to remind every single one of them that revenge rarely goes exactly the way you plan it. Let us take them one at a time. The first involves a woman who decided that the solution to her fear of losing someone she loves was to destroy the reputation of the woman she saw as a threat. She got help. She got technical help, specifically to manipulate digital evidence, a GPS record, data that would tell a story she wanted told. She set someone up for something that someone else actually did. And for a brief, intoxicating moment, it looked like it was going to work. It is not going to work. The plan is going to fall apart, and when it does, she is going to have to sit across from her husband, a man of genuine integrity who took vows with her believing she shared his values, and tell him everything. The drinking before she drove that night. The accident she did not fully stop for. The cover-up she allowed someone else to help her build. And then the framing. The deliberate, calculated decision to point the finger at someone else for what she herself had done. By the time she is done talking, her marriage is going to be in a place it has never been before. And whether it survives is genuinely uncertain. The second revenge story is one that Port Charles has been building toward all season, and it is the one that carries the least ambiguity about how it ends. A man who has been terrorizing the city, running schemes and wielding threats and operating as though he is untouchable, made the decision to go after the one man in Port Charles you simply do not go after if you want to walk away intact. He has been building toward a confrontation that he believes he can win. He cannot. A trap is already in place. He is going to take the bait. And when he does, his run in the city, and possibly on this earth, is going to come to an end. Sonny does not lose these. Not in the end. The third involves a woman whose anger at a man who recruited her daughter into danger has been simmering for a long time. She has wanted accountability. She has wanted consequences. She got a small taste when her secret was exposed and used against her, but it was not enough. It was never going to be enough. She is going to continue down that road, and the summer previews suggest she is going to play a role in serious trouble heading toward that man. Whether she engineers it, contributes to it, or simply refuses to stand in the way of it, her hunger for justice on behalf of her daughter is going to be a factor in whatever comes next for him. The fourth is the most personal, and in some ways the most painful because it involves two young men who were genuinely close, friends who trusted each other, who had a bond that felt real and solid. But one of them has been keeping a secret that directly affected the other. He knew something crucial about someone the other desperately wanted to find. He stayed quiet while his friend suffered through not knowing. And when the truth finally comes out, when the young man who is kept in the dark understands the full picture of what was concealed from him and why, the friendship is going to shatter. The anger of someone who loved you and was deceived by you is a particular kind of fury, and it does not resolve quickly. These two are heading for a confrontation that is going to be hard to watch, and the road back to any kind of trust between them, if that road even exists, is going to be very long. And the fifth is the one with the most mystery still wrapped around it, because the threat coming for a man who has been working to take down one of the biggest criminals in this story is coming from his own past. Someone who has a grievance. Someone who has been waiting. Someone who knows enough about his history to make him genuinely afraid in a way that he does not often let himself be. Whether this is connected to a child whose life has been affected by choices made long before this story even started, or whether it is someone else entirely emerging from the shadows, the danger is real. And running is going to be his instinct, but running in Port Charles has a way of running you right into whatever you were trying to escape. 5 revenge plots. 5 roads that felt righteous at the start and dangerous in the middle and disastrous at the end. 5 characters who are about to pay prices they did not fully calculate when they decided that getting even was worth it. Port Charles has never learned this lesson and probably never will. That is what keeps us watching.